Ishman Anderson. You can call me Ish. I'm a doctoral candidate at San Francisco State. Keep grinding it out. In about 2 or 3 more semesters, I'll be Dr. Ish. I'm also a program coordinator for MESA, which stands for Mathematics, Engineering, Science Achievement at University of California, San Francisco. And most critically for why we're here today in terms of our presentation, in terms of what affirms me as a black man, my authenticity, where I come from, my community, and here to present on my program that I started in 2016. M.O.B, the brother of M.O.B, or M.O.B, which is a program that I started at Cal State East Bay. It's now at San Francisco State. It's been a space where we've been able to pretty much work with first generation local and black males at T.H.U.G.L.I.F.E East Bay, having discussions, intergroup dialogue sessions on race, culture, strong black and identity development, looking at spaces that build power and resiliency and militancy. And we've been able to pretty much have a situation where we've been able to transfer that capital from the college level to the K-12 level, allowing our black males to mentor students at West Oakland Middle School now in McClimon's High School, which is the feeder school in McClimon's High School. Very, very proud to have one of my brothers with me, who's with me from the Ground Up Scholarship Program.
Hi everybody, my name is Richard Docker Jr., 24 years old, born in Sacramento, California, living in East Oakland. I'm a first generation college student, both my parents are from Africa. I've been with the M.O.B for 3 years, and this year I'm the active president. And I'm here to discuss what we've done with M.O.B as a co-author, the research we've done with the students at West Oakland in middle school and McClimon's. And this year I will be graduating with my undergraduate, finishing it, and graduating with my undergraduate. So we got a lot of work done, and we're here to present to you guys today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll go straight into it. So what I want to accomplish with this presentation is to really look at what M.O.B represents to black males, right? We're building what is MOBISM theory, and it's connected to other frameworks that kind of set the foundation for M.O.B. So when I really express it or really explore what MOB represents, what we're really trying to get at is looking at what sense of belonging looks like, right? What unity looks like. What does a space look like that looks at the expression of black males as a strength as opposed to a deficit, right? So we really explore that with our work. Most critically, I thought it would be important also to really set this up in terms of frameworks, like what sets the framework for M.O.B. And what I would say is let me get over here, brother. Kind of have 2 frameworks, right? So over here you will have what we call a work with the system framework, right? So you're looking at W. Du Bois, I talk about double consciousness, the notion of seeing yourself through the lens of others, in this case it would be white folks, in terms of the system and institution that we're working in. You look at Barack Obama and folks who kind of epitomize this kind of like work with the institution framework, right? So an example of that would be to police brutality. Someone who has a work with the system framework would say that we need more black folks to become police officers so we can change the system from within, right? So this notion of I got to get to the dinner table to impact change, code switch to impact change. Another framework is what I would call power frameworks, right? And that's more so looking at the strength that comes from your community, the strength that comes from your race, the pride, the authenticity, things like that. So you're looking at a longer chain of frameworks from Marcus Garvey to Malcolm X to Black Panther Party, right? To Tupac's construct of thug life, right? The hate you gave into millions fucks everyone. And then hip hop culture from the rebellion aspect of hip hop culture. So I want to center M.O.B pretty much along this framework, the power framework, right? Something that looks at strengths that come from our black community, the authenticity piece, and the sense of unity that we create through our own organizations, our own people. So that's I want to center M.O.B around that. Most critically, and the reason why this is important, my overall background, right, where I come from, growing up in the hood in West Oakland, I've been the first in my family to go to college. I really brought a M.O.B mentality from West Oakland. West Oakland is the birthplace of the Black Panther Party. And even though it's just, kind of gentrified now and go back to the 80s and the crack in their communities, which kind of took away a lot of the black power, but still those forms of family, those values, right? My cousin Sean Fletcher, by the way, for my family, the sense of, you got strength that comes from the community, that part is still very well in West Oakland. So for folks that don't know the history about West Oakland, MOBISM was something that kind of got birthed right after the Black Panther Party, right? And we still like a sense of family, a sense of community within our organizations. So what I want to do is, I always want to take this capital to wherever I went, right? I want to get into football scholarship at UC Davis, where I went for undergrad, and between going to UC Davis and then going to UCLA to get my master's degree, and now I'm in a doctorate program, I built all these institutions. but I always brought West Oakland, MOBISM, whatever that comes from, to the table, right? It was a strength to me. Even though I was always, I was just saying, going back to UC Davis, I was in a foreign environment, right? I wasn't used to spaces like that coming out of the hood. But essentially, this, right, the West, and always feeling affirmed in our people that comes from the community, I always felt confident navigating these spaces because I always had a family and something to go back home to. So to me, it was always important to really hone in on this as a strength as opposed to a deficit. Okay, so now we're going to get into this. This is the juicy shit right here. This is like critical right here, all right? So let's get into the overall problem of practice. Okay, and I want to name it anti-blackness is what we're looking at, right? Looking at pretty much institutions that are not affirming to black male identity, right? So this right here, both of these pictures is something I took when I was at UC Davis, right? Here I got the gold teeth and grill, the hat and everything like that. But this is kind of how I show up 99% of the time. Literally just one day we had to take a picture. Everyone on the football team had to take the media day photo picture, right? But I'm gonna fast forward 3 years after this. After I graduated UCLA, I got my first job as an EOB counselor at Cal State East State, working with first generation college students. And the way I was as a counselor, kind of when Nate was talking about, you know, honing in on the strengths, the community, the authenticity, it was beautiful. I had a lot of students always lined up to come see me, right? Those are strengths. But however, I always felt that my director, and even really anyone I work with in the institution, always wanted this identity, even though this is someone else empowering students, right? And I'm not referring to like something wrong with wearing a suit and tie. We got people who wear suit and ties that are authentic. It's not about that. It's more about what it looked like to her, right? For me, it was like the sense of de-ghettoization, right? Like the more successful I get, the more I'm supposed to like leave this culture and emerge to this like civilized professional identity, which to me is problematic. This right here again is the power and strength from where I come from. All right. So what we did is we transferred capital. We started working with guys at East our black males, and we started the program. And again, you look at this narrative, right? Momani, engineering major, is going to graduate soon, 3.8 GPA, right? You see JR here, he's all dappered up now, but he had the beanie on. JR is going to graduate. All these guys here are brilliant. They do work at West Oakland Middle School. They're great students. But again, talk about narrative and framework, right? Someone else will look at this and may say, oh, they look like thugs, or they're not dressed professional, which to me is semantics, right? In terms of the work, they're empowering their communities, they're brilliant, they're smart kids. So I always have to focus on what is empowering to the community and the students. That's all that's important. And now you see them, right? They transfer the capital to their kids at West Oakland Middle School and Climate High School. And some of these students at Mac, right, him in particular, Jeremy, he used to get suspended all the time, and teachers talk about ADHD and he can't, all this crazy stuff. But it's like we've been able to really empower that student because we transferred the capital to him, and it's really us just working with these students in a cultural way that's affirming to them. So we're going to be able to engage these students, right? Okay. So essentially, based off all the work that we've been doing for the past 3 years, I really wanted to explore like what does all this mean to our black males, right? Like what does MOB represent to them? Based on the outreach piece, based on the retention piece at the college level, based on everything. Like what does it represent to students? So what we did is we did a study. We interviewed 10 black males, video recorded interviews, and we had what we call a community-based participatory action research study, right? So I thought it was important to really incorporate all the kids in our study, the students, and have them be a part of the meaning-making process also in terms of transcribing and analyzing the data. So what we did is, after each student who's part of the study watched the interview, we actually had them kind of like, actually during the interview process, we had them kind of like write the most salient concepts that kind of came to them during the interviews and what they heard and what they felt. And after that part, they kind of sat down and we played the interviews again, and then we have students kind of like make circles or like write stars next to the most salient concepts. And at the end, we pretty much would have students further define what some of these concepts meant. So you see things like confidence, right? Family was a big salient concept in terms of what MOB represented to students. Confidence, collectivism, growth, all those things. And JR, you're part of the process too, so we're going to let you kind of talk on it.
Yeah, so
in terms of what the MOB represents to you.
So me being with MOB for the last 3 years is giving me a foundation to really make an impact to the community I live in and really give back through the classroom, the knowledge that I learned in the classroom, what I know about myself as a black man. And also it's allowed me to be a leader to the youth, my peers, my colleagues. A year ago, I would never see myself being president of M.O.B. or vice president of M.O.B. I'll be scared of a leadership role, but M.O.B. has given me the ability to be true to who I am as a black man and to protect my identity as being a black man, especially in the engineering world.
Yeah.
Going to classroom, I'm the only black man sometimes, you know, for multiple years until, you know, I see other people of color finally coming in. But it can be really intimidating being in that situation where I have to suppress my beliefs or who I am or my black identity. And, you know, being with the mob is giving me leadership, the ability to give back to the community, and as well as protect my identity as a black man and not to suppress it to society and the system and curriculum and the world, the way everything works against me as a black man.
Right, absolutely. All right, so we got one example too. I'm able to kind of, you know, transcribe one interview with a particular student, and it kind of connects to what JR was talking about in terms of identity and being an authentic black man and things like that. But we color coordinating certain things, right? So even the beginning part. So MOB, I just start off with being this family, a place where I can say I'm truly loved, right? So it's a code of family for us. I can express who I truly am, right? The identity piece. I can say MOB came a long way from me as well. Being able to have an impact on the younger generation and being able for them to say they can't wait to go to college. They can't wait to be part of organizations like this. We already have West Oakland Middle School and knowing what MOB means, walking around saying MOB the brother and stuff like that. It's just a counter space where you can truly be yourself, right? You're not judged. Literally just a bunch of black men expressing ideas, bouncing off each other, and having a good time. At the end of the day, we're all here for the community, right? Community. We're not going to let nothing stop us from doing what we do. So a lot of the main themes that we kind of coded from the study, right? Mobs of students represented family, love, brotherhood, authenticity, which is connected to identity. And when folks talk about authenticity, they were really talking about this sense of expressing themselves as black males, how they want to show up. That's how they define authenticity. Sense of community, power, leadership, right? Structure, organization. Those are some of the main concepts that came out from the study, a very critical part of the study. Okay. Now, here's a big piece in terms of the Thug-Life framework, right? Tupac said that Thug-Life was a new type of black power. He said that back in the early 90s. And how he looked at it as a type of black cultural capital that instills confidence, racial pride, and resiliency in black males to utilize their struggles as a source of empowerment that allows them to navigate life against all odds. So resiliency piece in terms of Thug-Life. But then even in terms of the T.H.U.G.L.I.F.E piece, their community cultural wealth. Thug-Life is embedded in forms of communal, familial, and existing capital, right? So if you look at a lot of the concepts that came out of the MOB study, that came out family, right? Authenticity, things like that. Community was very big. So for us, we created theory based off of practice. We do it the other way around, right? After students kind of, the themes came out, then we went and got the Thug-Life framework, because that's what students were saying in their studies. And it connected to Thug-Life, and Thug-Life connects to what the Black Panthers were saying, and Black Panthers connected to Malcolm X, and Malcolm X connected to Marcus Garvey. So for us, in terms of MOBism, we're really just building on centering again this MOB mentality under a long traditional frameworks that really focus on, right, communal, familial, and resistant capital that comes from your community, and the strengths that come from your community. Okay? Implications. What does this all mean, JR?
So my community work done in West Oakland. So I work really close with West Oakland Middle School students and McClimans. I've seen some students graduate from West Oakland to go into high school. So that's a really great improvement that I've been working with. So I do workshops with these students, such as we do discussion-based analysis of our community. One of them was how we can improve the schools that they go to and their community that they live in. And one of the things that came up a lot was inside the school, the student population, the black population of students is 98%, whereas in McClimans, they only have 2 black teachers. So that itself just raises a lot of issues and questions. And the students there at West Oakland, McClimans at West Oakland High, they need to see it to believe it. So as me being a black man in college, doing engineering, wrapping up his degree, graduating, that motivates them. We got a lot of students in high school right now that are they're not motivated. They're unmotivated. They don't have the drive. They don't have the person in their ear asking them how they're doing in school. Where are you struggling at? What classes do you need help? They don't have that. They're lacking that. And without that, there's no great rewards for them when they graduate. Whereas if they want to go and continue into the next level of education, where they want to get a career, a job, they're not going to have the skill sets or the knowledge to be successful. So what I've seen working with these students for 3 years, seeing them go from West Oakland to high school, they need to see more black presence, more black educators, more culture, race that resonates with them so that they can listen and they can get motivated. They can do STEM. They can go for an engineering degree. They can go study mathematics, technology, science, all that, without being suppressed or unmotivated to their life or their abilities. So me being in MOB, I feel like we need to really tackle this school issue head on in West Oakland Middle School, because the way that it's going, projected when they graduate and in my position, they're not going to be ready for it. They're not going to be ready for success, so it's really important.
Sir, you got you. So for me, just piggyback off what JR said, I kind of broke down implications in like a couple facets, right? So what are the implications for black stakeholders? Not just race, but culture and communities connected to that, right? You can have a black person that don't come from the hood, that don't get that part. Or you can have a white person that maybe understands hip-hop, but like you can't identify the race aspect of the black students. So we have implications based off of black educators that come from the community that want to do the work. We also have implications for those who are outside of our community, right? So to me, the most important part, right? We need more MOB type of organizations with faculty and staff that resonate with the culture. This will foster the necessary space, tools, and resources to impact empowerment. I will make a statement, right? You can do the research yourself, but when I did research and looked at what our outcomes were like in education before we became integrated, we actually were doing better, right? That's because we have more black people who look like us teaching us, right? So in 2019, we're bringing that model also, that understanding. We believe that we are the best resource and the best option to empower our youth. And then when you have a framework where we're like, we dress a certain way, we bring a certain, culture to the table in an institution that's not friendly to us, this always must be an option for black folks. You gotta be ready to also build your own institutions, if that's the case, right? That always must be an option. And of course, outside stakeholders must understand what MOBISM and Thug-Life represents the young, low-income hood black males. So we are focusing on that population, just to be clear about that. So for example, we don't expect people who are not from our culture or not from our race to come rap to us and do some rap cycles. We don't expect that. We just expect you to really understand what the culture means to us. For us, hip-hop's not a pedagogical thing, it's a lifestyle. We live this culture. It's us. It's our lived experiences. So when we have a teacher who's not from there, we want you just really to understand what this represents to us and then educate accordingly in your instruction. And I would say just in terms of leaving off, man, like everyone's been saying, first I want to say rest in peace to my cousin Gavin, who passed away in March. And I want to say rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. And I don't know clout chasing shit, but for us, Nipsey really embodies the build your own institution model. He's under a Thug-Life framework, he said himself. And if we really got real love for him, then to us, it means that we got to hit the streets and hit the community. That's where he comes from. I know we support him now because he's rich, but there's a Nipsey Hussle in every hood who's selling CDs, who's selling stuff, shirts, everything in the hood out the trunk of their car, and we walk right past him. So there's been a bourgeoisiness that's been to this culture, and we got to get rid of that. Hip-hop is not a bourgeois thing. It is for those who don't have a voice. So I just want to lead off with that, and we really appreciate your time.